Microsoft is reportedly set to unveil its next AI chip, the Maia 300, as early as September. The headline number is a plan for more than 300,000 units in 2027. But the way I read it, this is not a show of strength. It is the flip side of urgency. Microsoft has to bring down the cost of running Copilot. In this video, I'll unpack the story behind a bold-looking expansion plan that Microsoft cannot afford to walk away from. Welcome to Semiconductor News Decoded. I'm Ty, with 31 years inside the semiconductor industry, bringing you the real view from the factory floor. Today, we'll go inside the reported Maia 300 plan, and I'll explain why I see this less as an offensive move and more as a defensive war Microsoft cannot quit. Stay with me to the end. There's a catch, though. Making these bentos takes special high-performance cooking pots. The shop buys them from a world-famous pot maker. The performance is superb, but the pots are very expensive, and shops all over the world are fighting over them. Our bento chain scrambles to lock in its share of the maker's production just to keep up with daily orders. Here's today's news in one picture. Imagine a bento lunchbox chain that sells a monthly all-you-can-eat pass. Pay a flat fee, pick up a fresh bento every day. We'll lean on this bento shop story all the way through the opening section. Subscribers, mostly office workers, keep pouring in, and it's now the hottest shop in town. From the outside, it looks unstoppable. And that creates an awkward squeeze. The better the all-you-can-eat pass sells, the more bentos the shop has to cook. But the more it cooks, the more those pricey pot costs pile up, and the thinner the profit on each meal becomes. The flagship product is selling brilliantly, yet the more it sells, the tighter the kitchen budget gets. Raising the price of the pass? Customers would drift to the shop next door. Dropping the all-you-can-eat business? That would mean handing the prime spot in front of the station, the entrance where all the customers come in, over to a rival. Selling hurts. Quitting hurts more. The shop that looked unstoppable was, in truth, running out of room to move. So the shop made its call. Build its own cooking pots, just for its own kitchens. Not a single pot for sale outside. Install them in bulk at home and drive down the pot cost per meal. Is that a confident, aggressive investment? Or a decision made with its back against the wall? From here, let me walk you through what this actually looks like in the real semiconductor industry. The main player is Microsoft. According to reporting by The Information, a U.S. tech media outlet, the company plans to unveil its in-house AI accelerator, the Maia 300, in the fall of 2026, possibly as early as September. An AI accelerator is a chip specialized for the heavy computation behind generative AI, and Microsoft is designing this one itself. The scale is reported in concrete numbers, too. Microsoft is said to be in talks with TSMC, Taiwan's giant contract chip manufacturer that would handle production, to secure capacity for more than 300,000 units in 2027, with over 1 million units in view for the longer term. The current Maia 200 runs in the tens of thousands, so that's roughly a tenfold jump by Microsoft's own standards. The current generation Maia 200 is built on TSMC's 3-nanometer class process, and its main job is inference, having an already trained AI produce answers. Behind all this is surging demand for Azure and generative AI services. And with Google's TPU, AWS's Trainium, and others, every major cloud player is now fielding its own chips. The custom AI silicon race among hyperscalers is in full swing. On the receiving end, TSMC is booming. Its July revenue jumped 44.7% from a year earlier, an all-time monthly record. That's how heavily AI chip manufacturing demand is concentrating on TSMC, and these Maia 300 capacity talks sit squarely inside that larger current. Now, here's the real story. Most coverage frames this news around scale. Microsoft goes all in on custom chips, 300,000 units, someday 1 million. But the first question I want to ask is different. Who exactly is this chip sold to? The answer? No one. At least not yet. Maia 200's deployment is confined to Microsoft's own data centers, with no confirmed sales to outside customers. In other words, Maia today is that home-built pot used only in the company's own kitchen, still in its self-consumption stage. And until it is measured by the yardstick of an outside market, on performance and on price, my take is that Maia has proven nothing yet. So why can Microsoft stay this bullish? I see the answer in its enormous in-house demand. Paid seats for Microsoft 365 Copilot, the AI assistant built into Word, Excel, and the rest of the Office suite, are expanding fast. Inside its own walls, Microsoft is growing enough demand to run every pod it builds at full capacity. But this is where the core question lives. Can Copilot actually turn a profit? An AI assistant racks up inference computing costs every time it is used. The more paid seats you add, the more computation runs behind the scenes. Selling well, yet weighed down by costs, the exact same squeeze as our bento shop, showing up here in real life. That's why my read is this. The 300,000 unit Maia 300 plan is not a sign of comfort. It looks like the flip side of urgency. Copilot's inference costs simply have to come down. Building your own pots to cut the cost per meal is the rational move of a player under pressure, and that, I believe, is what we are watching. Look at the competitive picture. Google's TPUs are reported at a scale of 3 million units a year, and Anthropic alone holds a contract to use 1 million of Amazon's Trainium chips. 300,000 sits an order of magnitude below the frontrunners. And on top of that, Maia has no external sales record and no validation by outside yardsticks. Microsoft has not won yet. That is my honest assessment. Even so, Microsoft cannot walk away. The entrance to enterprise AI, that prime spot in front of the station called Office software, is not something it can hand to rivals. It keeps going not because it is winning, but because it cannot afford to quit. That, I feel, is the true face of this bold-looking plan, a defensive war. So as you follow this news, I'd watch neither the glitz of the launch event nor the size of the unit numbers, but Copilot's costs and profitability. Did the Maia 300 truly bring inference costs down? Only when that becomes visible will we get the final answer. Was this plan offense or defense? Let me wrap up. Microsoft is reported to be unveiling the Maia 300 as early as September, and to be in talks with TSMC over capacity for more than 300,000 units in 2027. But Maia remains in its self-consumption stage with zero external sales, unproven in the outside market. The essence of this plan, as I see it, is the flip side of the urgency to cut Copilot's inference costs, a defensive war Microsoft cannot quit. That's all for today. I'll keep bringing you semiconductor news and analysis, so if you found this useful, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. This has been Ty on Semiconductor News Decoded.